Welcome to a deep dive on the lymphatic system. You want to understand it better, how it keeps you healthy, and you've sent over a chapter from an anatomy and physiology textbook
Okay.
as your source material. Perfect.
It's funny. Most people don't think about their lymphatic system until something goes wrong, but it's always working in the background,
Right.
playing a vital role in
Ugh.
keeping us functioning.
Okay, so first things first, what exactly is the lymphatic system? Is it as complicated as it sounds?
Think of it like a secret river system flowing throughout your body, almost like a parallel network to your blood vessels. It's critical for managing fluid levels, absorbing fats, and for immunity, making
Wow.
it a key player in both your circulatory and immune systems.
So it's connected to the bloodstream but has its own unique job.
Exactly. If the circulatory system is the delivery network, the lymphatic system is the drainage and defense system. It makes sure your tissues don't swell up,
Right.
helps you absorb nutrients from your food,
Yeah.
and it's packed with immune cells that protect you from getting sick.
The textbook mentioned lymph. What exactly is this fluid?
Well, every cell in your body is bathed in fluid called interstitial fluid, which delivers nutrients and removes waste. Lymph is essentially this fluid,
Okay.
but once it enters the lymphatic system, think of it as the interstitial fluid being rebranded for its new job in the lymphatic vessels.
So our bodies recycle fluid. That's pretty efficient.
It is.
What happens to the lymph after it's collected?
It goes on a one-way journey. It starts in tiny lymphatic capillaries, which are like one-way doors that draw in the excess interstitial fluid. These capillaries merge into larger lymphatic vessels that have valves, like veins,
Too tight.
to prevent backflow.
So how does the lymph actually move through this system? Do we have a lymph heart? I don't know about.
That's where things get really cool. Your everyday movements, especially muscle contractions, help propel the lymph through the vessels.
Mm.
It's like squeezing a tube of toothpaste.
Yeah.
Every time you move, you're giving your lymphatic system a little boost.
Wow, so even small movements matter. I had no idea just going for a walk could benefit my lymphatic system.
It absolutely does. And here's another surprising fact.
Okay.
You reabsorb and filter about 3 liters of lymph every single day. That's a lot of fluid being processed.
That's amazing. So where does all this lymph end up after its journey through the vessels?
The lymph travels through a series of lymphatic trunks and ultimately empties back into the bloodstream. There are 2 main ducts.
Oh,
The right lymphatic duct, handling drainage from the upper right side of your body, and the thoracic duct,
right?
which collects lymph from pretty much everywhere else. The thoracic duct has a fascinating starting point called the cisterna kingli,
Oh, wow.
which is a sac-like structure that collects lymph from the intestines and lower limbs.
Okay, the cisternachili sounds like something out of a mythical creature.
Yeah.
So it's all a closed loop,
It is.
constantly circulating and cleaning. What happens to all the waste and potential threats in the lymph? This is where those immune cells come in, right?
You got it. The lymphatic system isn't just about fluid balance, it's also a key player in immunity.
Right.
And the stars of the show are lymphocytes, a type of white blood cell that's always on the lookout for anything that could cause harm, like bacteria, viruses, or even cancer cells. Think of the lymphatic system as a training ground and a battleground for these immune cells.
The textbook mentioned 3 main types of lymphocytes: T cells, B cells, and NK cells.
Right.
Can you break down this lymphocyte army for us?
Let's picture your body as a fortress under attack.
Okay.
The T cells are like the specialized forces within your immune system.
Okay.
You've got helper T cells, the commanders, who raise the alarm and direct the defenses when a threat is detected.
Right.
Then there are cytotoxic T cells, the archers picking off invaders from afar by directly destroying infected or cancerous cells.
So there's a chain of command with different cells having specific jobs. What about the memory T cells?
Those are the veterans of the army. Memory T cells remember past battles, so if the same enemy returns, they can mount a faster and stronger response.
Wow.
This is how we build immunity to certain diseases after we've been exposed to them or vaccinated.
Okay, that makes sense. Vaccines are basically giving those memory cells a cheat sheet, right?
Okay.
What about B cells? What's their role in this defense system?
B cells are the antibody factories.
Okay.
When they encounter an antigen, which is anything that triggers an immune response,
Right.
they differentiate into plasma cells.
Mm-hmm.
These plasma cells churn out antibodies, which are like guided missiles that target specific invaders for destruction.
So they're the ammunition producers.
Yeah.
And I bet they have memory cells too, right?
You're absolutely right. Similar to T cells, B cells also form memory cells. These memory B cells are crucial for long-term immunity and are one of the reasons why vaccines work so well.
Right.
By introducing a harmless version of an antigen,
Yeah.
Vaccines train your B cells to be ready for the real deal if you ever encounter it.
That's amazing. It's like giving your body a sneak peek at the enemy so it can prepare for a real attack.
Exactly.
Now, what about those NK cells? They sound pretty intimidating.
NK cells, short for natural killer cells, are like the first responders of your immune system.
Okay.
They're constantly patrolling and have this incredible ability to kill a variety of infected or cancerous cells without needing any prior sensitization.
So they're like the special forces
Right.
able to take on a variety of threats. The textbook also mentioned lymphatic structures. What are those and how do they fit into all this?
Lymphatic structures are like specialized hubs where those lymphocytes we've been talking about gather and coordinate their attack.
Okay.
We've got lymphatic nodules, which are like small outposts scattered throughout the body,
Right.
as well as the bigger lymphatic organs, the thymus, lymph nodes, and the spleen.
Okay.
Each of these plays a unique role in filtering and fighting invaders.
Let's start with lymph nodes. We've all experienced swollen glands when we're sick. What exactly is happening in there?
Lymph nodes are like tiny filters strategically placed along the lymphatic vessels. They're bean-shaped and packed with lymphocytes, ready to intercept any harmful substances carried in the lymph. As the lymph flows through a node,
Right.
it gets inspected by these lymphocytes and macrophages, which are another type of immune cell that gobble up foreign debris.
So it's like a checkpoint for the lymph,
Exactly.
making sure nothing dangerous slips through. Why do lymph nodes swell when we're sick?
If the lymphocytes in a lymph node detect an antigen, they sound the alarm and trigger an immune response. That response includes the rapid multiplication of lymphocytes to fight off the infection,
Uh-huh.
and that's what causes the swelling and tenderness we associate with being sick.
Ah, so it's a sign that our immune system is actively fighting for us. What about the tonsils? Where do they fit in?
Think of your tonsils as the guardians of your throat. They're clusters of lymphatic tissue located at the back of your throat, and they're like the first line of defense against anything you breathe or swallow. They have these little pockets called crypts
Yeah.
that trap foreign material for inspection by lymphocytes.
It makes you appreciate those tonsils a bit more.
Right.
Okay, onto the spleen, the largest lymphatic organ. Most people know it exists but don't really understand what it does.
Right.
Fill us in.
The spleen is a multitasking marvel. It's tucked up under your left rib cage and plays a crucial role in filtering your blood,
Okay.
kind of like a giant lymph node for your blood.
Interesting.
It removes old and damaged red blood cells,
Okay.
stores platelets, and also houses a reserve of lymphocytes
Uh-huh.
ready to deploy if a threat is detected in the blood. It's also important to note that because the spleen filters the blood,
Yeah.
people who've had their spleen removed are much more vulnerable to certain infections and need extra protection through vaccination.
Well, the spleen sounds like a busy place.
Right.
So if it's filtering blood, does that mean it's structured differently than other lymphatic organs?
Yes. The spleen has two main components, the red pulp and the white pulp, each with a very specific function. The white pulp, much like lymph nodes,
Okay.
is filled with lymphocytes that are constantly on the lookout for foreign invaders in the bloodstream.
Wow.
If they spot something suspicious, they launch an immune response.
So it's like a 247 surveillance system for the blood. What about the red pulp? What's going on there?
The red pulp focuses on filtering and storing blood cells.
Okay.
It's responsible for removing old and damaged red blood cells, recycling their components,
Yeah.
and also acts as a reservoir for platelets,
Right.
which are essential for blood clotting.
The spleen really is a multitasking marvel. Okay, last but not least, we have the thymus. What's special about this lymphatic organ?
The thymus is like a boot camp for T cells. It's where immature T cells go to mature and specialize into those different roles we talked about earlier, like helper T cells and cytotoxic T cells. It's located behind your breastbone and is especially active during childhood.
So it's like the training ground for the immune system special forces. Does the thymus stay this active throughout our lives?
As we age, the thymus gradually shrinks,
Okay.
but it continues to play a role in immune function throughout our lives.
Right.
However, the shrinking does contribute to the weakening of the immune system as we get older.
That makes sense. The textbook mentioned that the effectiveness of the lymphatic system declines as we age.
Right.
What else contributes to this decline?
It's not just the shrinking of the thymus. As we get older, our immune system, including the lymphatic system, doesn't function quite as robustly.
Right.
The thymus produces fewer new T cells, and the existing T cells become less responsive to new threats.
Okay.
This means we're more susceptible to infections and might take longer to recover from
So
illnesses.
it's like the defenses start to weaken a bit as we get older.
Yeah,
That's a bit disheartening. Is there anything we can do to support our lymphatic system as we age?
absolutely. While we can't stop the aging process, there are things we can do to support our lymphatic system and overall immune health. Right.
Simple lifestyle choices can have a big impact.
Okay, tell me everything. What can we do to keep our lymphatic system happy and healthy?
Staying hydrated is crucial because lymph is mostly water, and dehydration can hinder its flow.
Okay.
Regular exercise is also a key player because, as we talked about, muscle contractions help pump lymph through the vessels.
Hmm.
Even something as simple as walking or yoga can make a difference.
So those walks aren't just good for my heart, they're good for my lymphatic system too. What about diet? Does that play a role?
Absolutely. A balanced diet rich in fruits, vegetables, and lean protein provides the nutrients your immune cells need to function properly.
Okay.
Antioxidants found in colorful fruits and veggies can help protect your cells from damage.
So eating the rainbow is good for our lymphatic system. What about stress? We always hear about stress weakening the immune system,
Chronic stress can definitely take a toll on your immune system.
including the lymphatic system. Finding healthy ways to manage stress, whether it's through exercise, meditation, spending time in nature, or engaging in hobbies you enjoy, can help keep your immune system strong.
So it's all about taking care of ourselves holistically, both physically and mentally. This deep dive has really opened my eyes to the importance of the lymphatic system.
I agree. It's fascinating how such a complex and vital system operates mostly under the radar.
And it's inspiring to know that we have some control over supporting its function.
We do.
We've covered a lot of ground here, from the basic components of lymph to the different types of lymphocytes and those amazing lymphatic structures. What are some of the key takeaways you want our listener to remember about the lymphatic system?
The lymphatic system is essential for maintaining fluid balance, absorbing fats, and defending us from illness. It's a dynamic network of vessels, cells, and organs that work together to keep us healthy.
Yeah.
Understanding how it works empowers us to make informed choices about protecting it, especially as we age.
I couldn't agree more. It's not just a passive drainage system. It's a dynamic network that plays a crucial role in our overall well-being.
It is.
Now, you mentioned earlier that the development of the lymphatic system is still a bit of a mystery.
It is.
What do we know about how this intricate network forms in the first place?
It is a bit of a mystery. While researchers are still unraveling the exact details, we do know that the first lymphatic structures, called primary lymph sacs, appear pretty early on, around the 6th week of embryonic development.
Wow.
These sacs eventually give rise to the lymph nodes that are so crucial for filtering lymph and coordinating immune responses.
So even before we're born, the foundations of our lymphatic system are already being laid. What about the other lymphatic organs like the thymus and spleen? When do they enter the scene?
The thymus that T-cell boot camp we talked about actually starts developing around the same time, also from a pair of pouches in the embryo's throat area.
Oh.
These pouches migrate downwards during development and eventually fuse to create the bilobed thymus gland, which becomes a haven for maturing T-cells.
Wow, so the thymus originates in the throat. That's surprising. What about the spleen? What does that develop?
The spleen has a slightly different origin story. It develops from mesoderm, a type of embryonic tissue that condenses in the developing abdomen around the 5th week.
Okay.
Initially, it acts as a blood cell-producing organ,
Mm.
but as development progresses, lymphocytes arrive and help form the characteristic red pulp and white pulp we discussed earlier.
So by the time we're born, our lymphatic system is already quite developed and ready to take on the world. But the textbook mentions that the lymphatic system is still not fully understood.
Right.
What are some of the unanswered questions that researchers are still exploring?
There's still so much we're learning about the lymphatic system. For example, scientists are still investigating the precise mechanisms that regulate lymph flow.
Okay.
It's a complex process influenced by things like muscle contractions, pressure changes, and even the composition of the lymph itself. Wow.
We're also learning more about how the lymphatic system interacts with other systems in the body, like the nervous system and the endocrine system, which produces hormones.
It's a reminder that even systems we thought we understood well still hold mysteries. What are some of the most exciting areas of research in the lymphatic system right now?
One area that's generating a lot of interest is the role of the lymphatic system in a wide range of diseases, from cancer to autoimmune disorders to heart disease.
Right.
Researchers are discovering that the lymphatic system plays a much bigger role in these conditions than we previously thought.
Really?
For instance, in cancer, tumor cells can hijack the lymphatic system to spread to other parts of the body.
Wow.
This process, called metastasis, is a major challenge in cancer treatment.
That's a sobering reminder that even this amazing system that protects us can sometimes be exploited by disease. Are there any promising new therapies or treatments being developed that target the lymphatic system? There's a lot of exciting research happening. For example, scientists are working on developing drugs that can specifically target lymphatic vessels
Okay.
to either block the spread of cancer cells or deliver chemotherapy drugs directly to tumors.
Wow.
There's also growing interest in using immunotherapy, which harnesses the power of the immune system to treat lymphatic system disorders.
That's really encouraging. It sounds like understanding the lymphatic system could be key to developing new and effective treatments for a wide range of diseases. Earlier, we talked about how the textbook mentions that lymph nodes can become enlarged for reasons other than infection.
Right.
Can you talk a bit more about that?
You're right, swollen lymph nodes aren't always a sign of a common cold or flu.
Right.
Sometimes they can be a sign of something more serious like lymphoma.
Oh,
Lymphoma is a type of cancer that originates in the lymphatic system.
wow.
When lymphoma develops, cells within lymph nodes start multiplying uncontrollably,
Hmm.
and this causes the nodes to swell. Unlike swollen glands caused by an infection, lymphoma-affected lymph nodes are typically firm and painless.
That's an important distinction. So if someone notices a swollen lymph node that doesn't seem to be related to an obvious illness, it's definitely worth getting checked out by a doctor.
Absolutely. Early detection is key when it comes to any type of cancer, including lymphoma.
Right.
A doctor can examine the lymph nodes and order further tests, like a biopsy,
Okay.
if necessary to determine the cause of the swelling.
This deep dive has really highlighted how the lymphatic system is not just a passive drainage system.
Yeah.
It's a complex and dynamic network that plays a vital role in both our circulatory and immune systems.
It is.
It's truly amazing how much is going on beneath the surface.
I couldn't agree more. It's a testament to the intricate and interconnected nature of the human body.
And as we've learned, it's a system that we can actively support through healthy lifestyle choices.
Exactly. Staying hydrated, eating a nutritious diet, exercising regularly, and managing stress can all contribute to a healthy and well-functioning lymphatic system.
Before we wrap up this deep dive, I'd like to touch upon something we haven't discussed in detail yet, the impact of a splenectomy. You mentioned earlier that people without a spleen are more vulnerable to infections. Can you elaborate on why that is?
Of course. As we've discussed, the spleen is a key player in filtering the blood and removing harmful pathogens.
Right.
When the spleen is removed, whether due to injury, disease, or other medical reasons, the body loses this important line of defense.
Right.
This means that bacteria and other microorganisms that would normally be filtered out by the spleen can circulate freely in the bloodstream,
Wow.
increasing the risk of serious infections.
So a splenectomy has significant long-term implications for the immune system.
It certainly does.
Okay.
People who have had their spleen removed often need to take extra precautions to protect themselves from infections.
Yeah.
This can include things like getting vaccinated against a wider range of diseases, being more vigilant about hand hygiene, and avoiding close contact with people who are sick.
It really highlights the interconnectedness of our body systems and the importance of understanding the potential consequences of any medical intervention.
I completely agree. Each part of our body plays a specific role, and when one part is removed or altered,
Yeah.
it can have ripple effects throughout the system.
This deep dive has been a fascinating exploration of the lymphatic system, and I'm so grateful for your expertise in guiding us through this intricate network.
It's been my pleasure. The lymphatic system is a fascinating and often overlooked part of our biology, and I'm always happy to shed light on its importance.
And to our listener, we hope this deep dive has given you a newfound appreciation for the intricate workings of your lymphatic system. It's working tirelessly behind the scenes right now to keep you healthy, so take care of it, and it will take care of you. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep into the wonders of your own body.